to The Conscious Tide with Ptolomek the Messenger. This week, our special guests are Victoria and Diana of Complete Trinity Hydrotherapy. Blessings and aloha, everyone. This is Brother Toluca here with Sister Diana and Sister Victoria here at Complete Trinity Hydrotherapy out here in Toluca Lake.
Yes.
Awesome. I just got my first hydrotherapy session and it was absolutely incredible. I'm so grateful to be blessed with this experience and this healing. This is truly a profound healing experience, a spiritual experience that brings you to your vulnerability, to face your fears, and to face your shit.
Very good.
And literally face your shit.
Literally face your shit.
So to start off, I really want to dive into your stories because I've heard a little bit about both of your stories and they're fantastic. So whoever would like to start first?
Diana.
Okay. Well, what led me to doing colon hydrotherapy is I come from a biracial family, so two different beliefs, to many different religions, and my father is Thai, my mother is Salvadorian, so I was raised in a very Asian tradition, strict, hardcore, and it was also a very violent home. A lot of, and on the Spanish side, there was manipulation, there was a lot of trickery, and just, it was off. And they say that you choose your parents before you're born, and I can totally understand why now. Being raised in a very violent home where you're constantly in fear, that really affected my digestive tract, where I was afraid essentially to go to the bathroom whenever I felt like going because I was afraid. I was just, are my parents gonna fight again? Am I gonna get a spanking again? Or whatever it was, I was just afraid to be free with my body that way. Fast forward, there were also issues where my mom was very weight obsessed, so she had me on laxatives from a very, very young age, probably starting around 9 and all the way to my early 20s. So very hard, rigid type of dieting, so laxatives, hardcore laxatives for 3 days, and then water on the 4th, and then water and salad on the 5th day, and then finally your body is so accustomed to not eating and just purging that it does a major damage to your body. And so I had no concept of what it was like to go to the bathroom on my own. So I was on Slim Teas, X-Lax, you name it, and then I was working out because it was a lot of self-image imposed on me. So I was, even though I was a very thin girl, I was always told that I was very obese. And looking back at my old pictures, I'm like, what was I thinking? But I was working out, 3 hours a day, low water, low food, lots of laxatives. So my digestive system was just shot. And I was very weak and just going through a lot of health problems at that time. And then when I was 23, I said, I am sick of it. I'm sick of working so hard to take care of myself. I'm so sick of taking all these pills and constantly having to take something just to have some normalcy. And I said, I'm just gonna stop. And if I die, I die. Great. I'm surrendering now. Fast forward a month later, I still didn't have a bowel movement. So I went a full month without being able to poop. And at that time, I had a vocal coach. So I was singing, and my vocal coach, bless her, she was like, you need to go get a colonic or you're gonna die.
Wow.
And it was the first time that I said, first of all, what is that? I've never heard of that. And she told me. And at this point, I had already gained a lot of weight. My skin was immensely broken out, and migraines every day. Like, I'm thinking about Imitrex and what else can I do to just, stay painless and numb everything out. And I started to do that, and I did it on a closed system. And I hated it because the tube was so big and the therapist was in the room, but I felt better. And then fast forward a couple of years later, I found the open system, and this system actually, when I invested in doing a series of them, it actually retrained my colon to start working on its own again without laxatives. Now, the journey's been tough because I didn't know about diet changes yet. I didn't know about eating cleaner. I didn't know that culturally, I eat for my blood type, but culturally, as an O blood type, Thai Salvadorian side is just massive cheese, massive starches. I'm not supposed to be eating this stuff. So that, coupled with the laxatives and the fear that I was raised with at home, it all just really just sat here. So there was a lot of trauma sitting in my colon over the years. And so I've been healing ever since. So having children, I haven't lost all the weight, but I feel so much healthier. Like, I feel healthier now than I ever have throughout my whole life, like literally my whole life. So I'm still in the process of healing, but mentally, spiritually, I'm so much more in tune. I can honestly say that I'm here to heal people, and I know that I'm a vessel, a conduit, or whatever it is. I'm here to help people open up, wake up, ascend, and really expand themselves. So.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful, amazing. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Pretty
This is
interesting.
Victoria.
Hi. Well, my journey started when I was very young. From the time that I can remember putting food in my mouth, I always had a challenge because I've had a million food allergies all my life. So even though I ate super healthy as a child, because I could probably eat 8 to 15 things day in and day out.
Wow.
But what would happen to me is I would have bowel movements every morning. But if I ate something that caused an inflammation marker in my body, and back then I didn't know it was an inflammation marker, my body would swell up and I would look disfigured. And my poor mom, coming from an Ayurvedic background and doctor background, was banging her head against a brick wall trying to figure out what is going on with my child. So at a very young age, I believe 6 or 8, I got introduced to colon hydrotherapy. Now, how do you tell a child, and I didn't do it on an open system, I did it on a closed system. How are you going to tell a child that a rectal nozzle is going to go in that rectal area? How do you do that? But thank God I was blessed with a mom who had the patience and the diligence to tell me and let me know never to give up, that what I have is a blessing. I couldn't understand it back then because I wanted to be with all the children eating the birthday cakes, the Pioneer chicken, if anyone remembers Pioneer chicken from the 70s. Doing all that stuff, but I couldn't. So I got taught at a very young age the body-mind-soul connection, which was beautiful because by the time I was 11, I already knew. So back up a little bit, I go get my first colonic, and before I get on the table, I'm very swollen, I'm huge, I look disfigured, my arms, my face, my joints, my toes, everything on my body that had an inflammation marker was swollen. We get on the table, I go through the process of a closed system, but what I noticed is when I was on a closed system and I would get off, I would feel much better, but it was the after. 2 days after, I would be sick as can be. Because what happens is I had a stagnant lymphatic system. On the closed system, it would push toxins and push whatever was going through my lymphatic system. And being a colon hydrotherapist now, when you get a colonic and you get off the table and the next day or 2 days you feel like a truck's hit you or like you have a flu, you have aches, those are toxins still going through the body. So for me, on a closed system, I knew that for 2 days I was going to be down.
Wow.
But then I was going to be good for about 2 or 3 weeks. So anyways, I went through life. Colonics was just kids played hopscotch outside. I went to the colonic center. I don't know how else to put it. And I carried all my snacks with me. I carried carrots, you know, I was the healthy kid. And in the 70s, that didn't exist because the 70s, everyone got into boxed food.
Yeah.
TV dinners.
TV dinners.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, not me. I was the healthy kid. And there was no Whole Foods. There was no Erewhon. There was no Lassen's. So it was pretty cool. But I, in my head, was self-conscious because I was the weirdo kid. Didn't know it was going to be a blessing in disguise this day and age with what's going on with our food.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyways, I'm going through life, doing my colonics, eating all my healthy food, trying to fit in, be the norm. I become a colon hydrotherapist. Okay, so we're, you know, I'm doing open system, closed system, but I'm a Taurus, so we don't like change. So for me, I was never getting on an open system. That was too much rewiring of the brain. My friend Ani, love her to death, she introduced me to the open system. Life changing.
Yeah.
I got on a
Absolutely.
Libby open system. It was amazing. I'm sitting on the table. It's a continuous flow of water. It's a continuous deeper cellular cleanse. When I got off that table, I didn't feel sick and I had energy.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let me see how this is going to work. If I wake up sick the next day, which is part of the protocol, if you got toxins and stagnant lymph fluid going on, or the lymph going through you, I woke up in the morning and I had energy like a room full of toddlers. No aches, no headache, no nothing. Wow, this is amazing. No swelling with food. Then I said, okay. And I was waiting for the rug to be pulled because if I ate something and I swelled up, you know, I was kind of SOL. A week went by, nothing. 2 weeks went by. I was wait. I ate lentils and I didn't puff up. I didn't swell up. My eyes didn't. Where's that Libby system? I got into it. And here I am today. And it has changed my healing, my life, my lymphatic system. It is amazing. It's life-changing. And here I am as a therapist at Complete Trinity in Toluca Lake.
We're so lucky to have her.
Yeah, no, I'm lucky to be here. I'm honored.
And I'm lucky to have been able to receive care from both of you. And I can't encourage all of you enough to go and receive this as well. Complete Trinity Hydrocolon Therapy is the absolute amazing top of the line with everything with open system, which we
Thank
can talk
you.
about, as well as just with the comfort and care that you end up, you know, really receiving in the most vulnerable of spaces. And that's something we'll talk about too. But really, words really don't come close to expressing the gratitude that I have, and as well as the depth of what this experience is. This experience is by far it's a medicine journey. It's parallel to a medicine journey. Meeting your fears, meeting your anger, meeting your shit, all of your undealt troubles, your stagnation.
Yeah.
No matter how clean or clear or purified we may think we are, or past our fears, are you ready to come and, you know, face your shit and are you ready
Literally
to be-
let go.
literally and
Literally
surrender
let go.
and to release all that does not serve, include not just etheric, energetic in the realms of, like, you know, in our meditations, but physically at a root chakra level, at the base level. So you were talking about the open system. Would you like to describe the open system a little bit so that our viewers know what exactly that means?
The open system, it's if I may explain the difference. A closed system tube is about 1.5 inches in diameter, goes in about 7 inches into the rectum, and it is inserted by a therapist, and the therapist stays in the room with you the whole time. You are laying on a massage table. Most of the time it's on your side, or sometimes they insert while you're on your side and then they'll flip you back on your back and then you release. The reason why it's called a closed system is because the tube is big enough so that it's pushing the water in, but it's also pulling the fecal matter back into the enclosure of the tube, which is why it's called the closed system. The open system is a much smaller tube, about the size of a number 2 pencil, only goes in about 4 inches into the rectum, and you can self-insert. It's very easy to insert yourself. You won't even feel it after a while. You're on your back the whole entire time, and you're laying on what looks like an oversized toilet. There's an opening between your legs right underneath you, and so the tube's job is just to insert or filter the water into your colon very gently. Fecal matter starts to break down in the colon, and once you filled up and you're ready to purge, everything slips out around the tube, into the basin of the table, which is essentially your toilet, down the drain, and it goes through a view tube where you can see everything that comes out of you. So that's why it's called the open system, because it's being released into the opening of the toilet that you're sitting on.
Awesome. And yeah, you know, for those of you who have tried the closed system, I highly recommend you try the open system, because I couldn't even fathom how the closed system would be, considering, you know, how effective the open system is, as well as like the amount of comfortability that you would have over having that 1-inch tube. Sounds pretty daunting.
Yeah, and then the other plus is that you do get to have your privacy. So once you're pretty comfortable with the system and you're used to it, you can opt to be left alone the whole time, or you can allow us to come back in and check up on you, which is what we prefer. But once you're a seasoned user of the system, you're absolutely fine to be left alone the whole entire time. And then we'll see you at the end of your session when we give you your probiotic.
The probiotic flush. And another thing that I was curious about, I know we had talked earlier about facilitating the colon being able to like move properly, and I would assume that having a more or a less invasive you know, tube would make it easier for our colon to come back to normal, rather than a 1-inch, you know, in diameter 7-inch tube. Is that correct? Or
well, you have to remember it's just in the rectal area where the tube can go in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't affect like the actual part of the large intestine at that point.
Gotcha.
It doesn't go. It goes in far, but it's not invasive in that way. It's just the size of the tube that's actually inserted, where you're like, I don't know if I really like this,
Totally.
you know. So, but there are preferences. People who are seasoned and love the closed system, hey, more power to you. It's just I've tried both, and I absolutely love this system, and it changed my life in particular. So, definitely vouch for this one instead.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, for the viewers, if you haven't gotten the gist of it yet, I literally just had my session about 30 minutes to an hour before we started this, and it was my first time ever, and I was amazed with how much fear was coming up for me, how much anxiety, vulnerability of feeling like, oh my gosh, they're in the room, I have to release. And I've always had this thing, like, even if my, you know, partner, you know, romantic partners in the room or nearby, I don't feel comfortable with releasing, you know. And what's drawing from that? Is it something within me deeper than just like, hey, I don't want you, you know, the sounds, smells, whatever it could be, you know, it's also energetic. And I found that I was releasing a lot of anxiety, fear, anger, resentment is what we found. Gallbladder stuff, you know, everything is tied to something. And it was absolutely profound, like I said, akin to a medicine journey. The feeling of releasing and really surrendering in those moments of severe uncomfortability, whether that be through physical discomfort or just energetic, emotional discomfort, just having to be like, okay, fine, I let it go. And like we said, it's at a root chakra level, it's at the physical level. So even if we do the work on the etheric levels, you know, and emotional as well, this is so powerful, and I recommend it to everyone. And
Yes.
I know that you can talk about that in even more depth.
Yes. What happens is we may be on the journey doing the spiritual work and healing and getting rid of, you know, blockages in our body and our mental aspect of the blockages. But what happens is everything through the gut-brain psychology lands up in the colon. Your emotions, the time that you got cheated on, the time that, you know, they broke into your car, or whatever the scenario is, if you don't release that, it stays in you. Let's go out of the spiritual realm. Bad diets, partying too much, you know, too much caffeine, all that stays in the pockets of the colon. So our place and our job, Diana and I, as spiritual healers and healers through colon hydrotherapy, in order for you to feel your best or to vibrate where you want to be, get that stuff out. Face those demons. Go head on with your shit. Excuse the expression, but it's the truth.
Right.
Yep.
And you will start to notice the difference of where your vibration is. And it's all in the body, mind, soul connection. It starts to click in and you're like, whoa, now this is really making sense. Even if someone is not on the journey and they've had years of being on medication and, you know, a standard American diet, and, you know, they have headaches, they have eczema, or whatever the situation or the scenario is, and they start coming to get colon hydrotherapy, we see the shift in them from when they first walked in to where they're at of detoxing. So I highly advise that you come see Complete Trinity to get your colonics, because it's amazing.
And literally that would be from the walk-in, they're frowning, they're irritated, they're rude towards us, they are not making eye contact, to they go in, an hour later they come out and they're hugging us. And they're open and they're like, I'm so glad you're here. I feel amazing. And I don't know what just happened to me, but I'm seeing life different. And I'm talking about in an hour.
Yeah.
And you can vouch for this right now,
Absolutely.
you know. And I invite all of you to come and try, whether, even if it's not through us, you know, just please take on colon hydrotherapy as part of the maintenance in your life, because we have energy in everything. So even in our jewelry, we hold energy. So you can imagine, even in our fecal matter, the fecal matter itself is holding energy. So if you have gone through your traumas, you were abused, you were raped, you were beat up, or you got into a fight and you've been cheated on, or you've been betrayed, that is holding energy. And if you're not physically releasing that, it's affecting your whole mind, body, and spirit. So you have to let that go. You have to allow to consciously release that and watch it go down the tube. Hence, which is why a lot of times our clients who are going through an emotional, spiritual transition in their life, they will actually start crying, and they'll start purging as they're crying, or, you know, purging physically, emotionally, and tears will just start popping out of their face, because there's so much that they have to let go from the time that they were children. So letting go of that physical matter that is holding negative energy and physically watching it go down the tube, even though they're not consciously making that connection at that point, they feel it.
Yes.
And that's why they're crying. And that's why when they walk out of that room and they come and they give us a hug, they're like, I don't know what just happened, but thank you. And they start to connect little by little over the next couple of days, because things start to become clear spiritually. They start to get more intuitive. They start to feel and hear, see messages. And they start to get more clarity about their purpose in life. And that is why we created this business, is because we really want to open up those channels for everybody and help people see their own gifts and see their own true power and potential. Because as we're walking around in this society under this administration, we're being boxed in. We're being told, you can't do this. This is how you're supposed to act. This is how you're supposed to walk and talk. No, I'm here to teach people you have this innate power in you, and you can learn how to use it. You can learn how to heal yourself as well. So that's exactly why we're here.
Oh.
Yes.
To add on to that, you know, talking about letting go, like, what are we attached to? You know, our attachments. How many of them are parasitic? You know,
Yes.
like, you know, how
Yes.
many of our attachments are not good for us, and yet we hold on to them. And I feel like, you know, this analogy is a little funny, but, you know, like, I've heard of, like, some people saying, like, oh, you know, that wort that's been there so long that you don't want it to go. You know what I mean? Like, how much of our old baggage do we feel that is what makes us who we are, that we feel like we can't let it go, or we're afraid of letting it go? And
well, essentially, it's become a part of us.
exactly.
Yeah, and we are comfortable with it.
Yeah, even though it inhibits us.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we love to create a story around that and why it's okay to keep holding
Excuses.
on to it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And that makes entire sense why, brothers and sisters will have releases. I know for me, I had a huge release with anger and, I had a lot of resentment to let go of. I had a lot of
I
fear
love
to let
you.
go of. I love you too.
I love you.
And so it's and after I came out of having this whole, I was sweating, I was just like, it's always when we're at those points where we can't wait for the experience to be like done because we don't want to feel uncomfortable, and not until the very end was I uncomfortable, and that was because I started to detox big time, where I found myself having to fully surrender. And it was at that last little bit where there was just a little bit of like toxic. I mean, I still need to come and get more sessions for sure, but there was a little bit more toxicity that I needed to release today. And it was then where I fully was just like, I release and let go all that does not serve. And there you go. There was something in the tube where it had been clear for like, the past like 15 minutes or so. And then I come out and they're asking me, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm good. I'm doing good. And I just sat here for like 15-20 minutes, and I had to actually pull myself out of it in order to converse and get ready for this interview, because it was drawing me so deep in and finding this place of calm where for a good amount of time, I have to be transparent, I haven't been meditating because my body's been in such an uncomfortable state that when I sit in meditation, my back hurts, like my lower back, my psoas is super tight. All these things that I know that were come about from digestion, whether that be from my gallbladder as well as from intestinal, blockages or just energetic blockages. Because whenever we have this, we can talk about what we eat, which is super important, but it's oftentimes more so energetic than it is, the actual physical material.
Were you raised in a strict home as well, or?
I would say half and half. Okay. It's about, but there was definitely a lot of emotional traumas and stuff, and growing up, I feel like we've all been on our paths, like the healers that really come into the space of selfless service and are really genuine with what they're bringing out are usually the ones who have suffered the most. Yeah. And it's a blessing.
We were just having this conversation yesterday. Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you feel now after it's been about an hour after your session?
I feel like I feel like I've juice cleansed for a year, and I have done like a major sauna session and then gone into a cold river, and the feeling of comfortability in the body is just like immense. I mean, it's unparalleled, really. I don't think I've ever felt, I've done a whole bunch of medicine work. I've done a lot of purging. I've done a lot of dietary, restrictions and cleanses and all sorts of stuff. And we were talking about it. As far as dietary, a lot of it's consumption based in the projection of having an elimination that will provide purity, will provide feeling good. And it's a lot of consumption. It's like, what do I consume? What do I consume? What do I consume? And sometimes maybe it's not about what we need to consume to let go. Maybe we just need to really focus on letting go and releasing, right? And so I feel amazing. We were talking about this before we started the interview, and I was just telling them that this is something that everyone needs to do.
Yes,
this
definitely.
Isn't something that should, people don't want to talk about food. People don't want to talk about, shit. I mean, even though we talk about it all the time, like, oh shit, everyone always uses the word shit, but does anyone really talk about releasing?
And that is our goal as colon hydrotherapists. If you say, hey, I'm about to go get a fade and get a haircut, the next guy should be able to like, well, I'm about to go get a colonic, and it should be like nothing to be able to say that. Because in this day and age, the way our foods are treated, herbicides, pesticides, whatever is being sprayed in our air, we absolutely need to do this, because no matter how clean we're eating and how spiritually in tune we're trying to be, if these things are invisible to us and we don't know that we're ingesting them, there has to be another way to purge this stuff consistently. Yeah. Absolutely. This has to be a part in this country right now.
Yes.
In this state that we're in, it's absolutely necessary. And anyone who is spiritually in tune really gets that.
Yeah, in full agreement. I mean, this, whenever we're really hurting and whenever we're really down, like, we go to someone to help heal us, right?
Correct.
And in this scenario, you are having the seva, like the service, like the help to be able to help you move your blockages in a way that isn't just like, it's not like you have to believe that this is working for the energy work to actually fully I mean, it's just, how do I put this into words? You have a physical component, which is totally like 3D root chakra, like it's like the physical being that's literally being helped to
right.
move. You're being aided on a physical level, and you're also being aided on an emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical level as well by these beautiful sisters who just like, I who knew that I would be comfortable with releasing in front of anyone, especially when you're doing something like this, and to have that be so to break down those walls of taboo and break down
right.
those barriers of like insecurity, honestly, vulnerability, shame.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's a big
absolutely.
shame, like we can not feel shameful about listening to like garbage music and eating all sorts of stuff, or being completely just outrageous with our spending of money and anything like that, or treating of elderly homeless, blah blah blah, and yet we have to feel shameful about something that's so natural.
A bodily function that your body's meant to do.
Yeah.
We all do.
And to be
Everybody.
honest, we're probably I would probably assume that a majority of all humankind isn't pooping properly.
Exactly.
Completely
Guaranteed.
isn't eliminating
Guaranteed.
and is holding on to stuff, and I would be confident in saying that even the healthiest people probably have a lot of toxins, or people who, what's interesting is that there are people who have a body type that looks super healthy, like very lean. They're
right.
like vatas, kaphas, pittas, ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph. Like, they're the people who, just don't gain weight. But does that not mean that they don't have stuff in their colon? I mean, I know a bunch of people who are super skinny who have had colon
right.
cancer, or,
yep.
all sorts of stuff. So, this is something that everyone needs.
And if any of you out there could relate, you've gone on and done, we just had this conversation where someone will say, I just did a 10-day juice cleanse and I felt nothing. And it didn't do anything for me. And what a lot of people need to grasp is that you need to detoxify the old gunk out first. Yeah. Get that old waste out first. That way, when you're introducing these new nutrients into your body, then your body can better absorb them.
Yeah.
And really take it on in your body, and your organs are now able to absorb them in a much more efficient way. And then you can start feeling the aliveness and the energy and the intuition starting to come more clear. But as long as you're holding on to that old stuff in there, it's not going to make a difference for you.
No, not at all.
Or your body's going to work extra. It's going to work overtime just to even get a hint of that cleanse in the body.
Yeah. I completely agree. And I think that you viewers can actually understand, even if you're not willing to admit, that when you have any type of stressful day, or you have some emotional roller coaster that you're going through, or you're dehydrated, or you're not getting enough sleep, that your digestion isn't working properly. And we have to really be completely honest with ourselves and honor ourselves in knowing that perhaps this is something that we can use some assistance on. We have assistance with everything except for this. And we look at where the world is at in these days, and even if we're eating really healthy, have we really taken the full steps to cleanse ourselves? And people can, I've done Epsom salt flushes, I've done all sorts of stuff, but there's nothing that can parallel to doing a colon hydrotherapy. That's for sure.
It is life-changing, profound, and it's been with me for 90% of my life. It's what I do, Some girls will go hang out at happy hour. I'll go to the colonic center. And
for sure,
it's part of me, and I don't feel embarrassed or shame, when I'm around my girlfriends and they're like, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to get a colonic this day, and then I'm going to go meditate, and then I'm going to go for a hike. Doesn't it hurt? No way. It feels good.
Yeah.
And then they start to ask me questions, and then they'll, tell me, well, I don't really eat because I have this problem or I have this going on.
Yeah.
Well, have you cleaned out your colon? No, but I go to the bathroom every day. That's okay, but what does it look like? And then they look at me like I'm weird, and I tell them, I see it every day. So then they start to open up, and I find out that, you know, they're upset because their parents got divorced when they were 5 years old, and they're holding on to that, which is the blockage and the root cause of their digestive imbalance. Come in, get a colonic. It will change your gut health, your mentality. You'll understand the body, mind, soul connection. Your vibration will turn a leaf. Living proof.
If I may share a quick story, I had a beautiful girl come in, was raised in a very violent home, very abused, and she bought a package with us, and she laid on her table like this the whole time. And I said, you can put your hands out. She's like, no, I have to hold my hands like this. About 4 sessions later, she did this. Like, okay. By the end of her series, she did 6. At the end of her 6th session, she chopped off her hair. She chopped off her hair. She started teaching voice. She moved from Orange County to Burbank, and she started teaching. She became an entrepreneur. I'm like, who are you? She goes, I have no idea what just happened to me. I am terrified of my parents, coming from a very strict home. I left home, and I'm teaching now. And look at me. And I'm going to have sex soon, because she was still a virgin at the time, and she was almost in her 30s. She was like, and I'm going to have sex soon. And I was just like,
So confidently.
really? Without any shame. She let all of that go.
Wow.
One of my most memorable stories to tell, because it was pure transformation. And for me, the background of relatedness there is the fact that we're both Asian, so I could relate totally. Just being so constrained, you know, and being told what to do. I mean, practically how to breathe in your own home. So huge transformation for her.
Wow. There it is. And you know, while you were both sharing these stories, I had thought about what you had said about the everything with the viruses and everything, and how like there's people who will release, you know, certain viruses and I mean lifelong ailments. I mean, you talk about a virus, that's a lifelong ailment. That's something that is like Western medicine's like, nope, you're stuck with it. You can't get rid of it.
Take another pill.
Viruses are entities that are chomping away at your vibration.
Say that again.
Viruses are entities that chomp away at your vibration. And when you start to get in tune with your virus and you tell them, you're not living in my temple no more, I'm going to get rid of you, that's when you're a real, true, you're on your way to healing. And get ready to face the shit, because you will vibrate on a totally different plane after that. It's so true. I've seen it. I've seen people who got blind from chemical toxic poisoning, and doctors told them there's nothing we can do for you. No amount of money is going to ever get you well. They go live in oxygen chambers and start to do colon hydrotherapy, and 6 months, 8 months later, they got their vision back. Life changing, mind blowing.
From the inside out.
And you know, I feel compelled to, you know, now I feel like I'm a vet because I've but, no, in all seriousness, I feel, I was actually telling both of them that this was such a sacred and divine and blessed and grateful alignment for me to be in here, because this is something that I always knew that I wanted to do. It was something that I always knew would be good for me. And I'm sure that 99, if not 100% of all of you who are listening and watching this right now know that this is something that you could use. And I want to just point out the fact that it's okay that something is new. It's okay that something is going to change things, because, you know, this is something that for all of you who haven't done it before will be new. And for most of us, new things can be a little bit frightening. But I welcome you to come in here with open arms and be welcomed and be cared for, because you will be. And it's not something to fear, it's something to be excited about. I was super excited coming in here. we were like talking about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm excited. They're like, oh, we're excited too. And it's been fantastic, and it's blown my mind as to how in depth this goes, because you think about things on a physical level, like, you're not taking a drug, you're not taking any, mind altering substance or anything like that. You're literally just letting go of all of the stuff that you have been holding on to, and how that brings up so much in you, and how you feel afterwards. And we had compared it to something at the end, right? Like how if you've detoxed well, it feels like you've smoked a joint or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, when you come out of the room, depending on the toxicity levels in your body, if you're still detoxing at the end of your session, you might be a little achy, still a little nauseous. But when you've had a full purge, which most of the time we give enough time on the table for you to allow that, you'll come out and you'll feel kind of buzzy, and you'll feel like you just smoked a joint, which is actually pretty good. Best compliment I got from someone, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I just came. I loved it. I'm like, yes, can we have some more of that? I want you to feel like you just came.
That's actually more, that's actually more relevant. That's
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have a long waiting list.
So come and see us.
That would be awesome.
To be honest, that is actually a better description than smoking a joint.
Okay, really?
Okay.
I could go back and forth, but I've been there too.
I mean, I came out of it, and we're here, and Victoria's like, check in with your vibration, and I'm just like trying to do the interview, and I'm like, okay. And I just sat, and all of a sudden I'm just getting so called in, like after you have an orgasmic release, you're just like, oh, you just like melt into the ether.
That's so awesome.
But in this case, I wasn't, it didn't feel like I had expelled energy in the sense of like, I hadn't expelled my root and, my crown or all of my chakra, my full energy, and like released some of it. I felt like I had gained that channel back. So it was like, instead of, I don't know how many of us after orgasm or whatever just like sit and meditate. I feel like most of us like, chill out and lounge out and meditate in that way. But in this way, I was just sitting perfectly aligned as if I had done, some medicine work or had,
You're so awesome.
You're awesome.
No, you are.
It's been amazing. And I couldn't thank you enough. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I would like to say that I invite you all to be just completely open and vulnerable, no matter how scary it is. Allow yourselves to cry, allow yourselves to curse. I want you to take your power back, and that is our goal here, is learn to take charge of your life. Stop letting other people tell you what to do with your body. You are so soul connected. You need to get back to that space so you intuitively know what your body needs, and only you can decide what it is your body needs. And you'll know, the cleaner you'll get, actually, the better you'll get at it, and the more in tune you'll get, you can heal yourself, and you can take care of yourself and those around you so much better.
Yes.
That's our goal here. And we want you to expand yourself, chop off your hair, go and, take a new jazz class, whatever it is that it inspires you to do, to open up your channels, your creativity. If you want to start writing, you want to start doing poetry, you want to start painting, let those things open up for you. That's what we want. Ultimately, that's what we want for you.
In the words of my dear friend Yosmeet, do you.
Yes, do you.
Do you. Now, how can everyone find out about you guys and find more information on the web and all of those channels?
CompleteTrinity.com, or you can look us up on Yelp under Complete Trinity Hydrotherapy. And we've got wonderful reviews, a lot of supporters who like us. And of course, we would love to see our reviews a little bit higher, but nobody really is quite ready to let other people know, like, hey, I went to poop today. So we totally get it. But those who have written reviews about us have given us rave reviews, and we're very proud of them. So, yep, Complete Trinity on Yelp or CompleteTrinity.com.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Honored,
Thank you
blessed.
for sharing space with us.
Yes.
You guys need to come in. All the links are below. You can find all the information. I couldn't say enough amazing things. This is life-changing. Even for those of us who are awake, even for those of us who have done whatever we've done. If you haven't done this yet, then you're missing out on an opportunity for advancement, for an opportunity for cleansing, purity, as well as for just releasing inhibitions and whatever other things do not serve you.
This is part of your awakening. This is part of your ascension.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing, is we just want to vibrate higher and higher as much as possible, because we are here to collectively be together as one, and that's the only way we can do it, is we got to keep ascending. And this is part of it.
And let's help each other with our body temples.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we're the
Absolutely.
eternal beings inhabiting the body temple, so let's help each other with helping these vessels work better, right? So
Absolutely.
thank you both for holding that space.
Thank
and for
you.
stewarding
Thank
this
you.
magic.
Thank you for sharing
Thank
space
you
with us.
for your energy, everything that you bring here with us. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. All laughs and smiles here. The Complete Trinity. Come check them out. We're here in Toluca Lake. Blessings. Namaste. We love you so much.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Sat Sri Akal.
Blessings.
Namaste.
Till next time.